Dad started the business, planting the vineyard back in 1979, family business, and I grew up, born and raised here on the vineyards, growing grapes, selling them to various wineries, making homemade Merlot in the barn, and eventually it turned into growing into bigger wine production, Pinot. New vineyard here that my dad and I planted together in 2006, and now we've been making wine for about 10 years.
Wow.
Built the winery. That was a long-term project, and here we are on our second year of winemaking here on the Estate Winery. Yeah, it turned into that through my father's expertise and connections that he made in the wine business through his long career. He was able to bring in a lot of winemakers, some who actually got their start making their own wine with Hyde Vineyard fruit. Paul Hobbs, James Hall, PATZ and Hall, John Consgard, Steve Kistler, some of the original iconic brands, David Ramey, for example, all making Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Cabernet, from Hyde Vineyard fruit. So not just good Chardonnay and Pinot, but other things as well being produced here. Fantastic. Yeah, it was great growing up and getting to know them, and being able to go over and taste wine with them and kind of pick their brain and learn everything you could about fine winemaking, and also learning about the vineyard the whole time. That's actually, one of our first labels. Musical notes are a trumpet tune from my mother's hometown in Poland. My mother comes from a town called Lublin, which is a walled city, and they played a trumpet call over the walls to call people in. And the music notes are a tribute to my mother. And if you noticed, the winery is actually designed and built after a Polish manor house. So she helped with the design, and the wine sort of fits into the package and tells the story, and a tribute to some of the people that are working on the back end of the business. Yep, southern edge of Napa Valley. Definitely quite a bit cooler down here. Foggy mornings, windy afternoons, a little bit slower ripening than you get higher up in the hotter parts of the valley. Hey, Misha girl.
I'm now being licked by Misha.
let's keep her in the room. Yeah.
That's fine.
Can you just take it easy there, girl? Huh?
All right.
But yeah, nice. Honestly, I prefer the weather and the climate down here, especially out in the summertime. But what it does is it creates a climate where you have slower ripening, better retention of acids and phenolics in your wines, which mean that you get these Chardonnays and Pinots that have structure that you can lay down and age. Yeah, we grow Cabernet here as well, and even especially with your Bordelais wines, you have a long enough growing season to get everything ripe. So your harvest ends up being over 2 months long, but we have a wide range of different varieties that we can grow very well here. Syrah, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Semillon. A lot of the folks over at Premiere Napa Valley I know because I've been selling them grapes for the last 10 or 20 years. About 200 acres here in Napa. About 20 acres here, and then right up the road we have another 150 acres. So that's kind of the home ranch where the whole thing started. This vineyard here being the newest addition, all Pinot Noir and Chardonnay coming from here. We actually got the winery built a couple of years ago, but it was a long process. It took about 10 years to really pull everything together and get it done. So we moved in August of 2017, which was the first year we crushed. Kind of barely got in here in the last minute, and just brought our barrels over and had a couple of tanks that we had stored over at PATZ and Hall, so we were able to crush our Pinot, bring our barrels in and get it done. And 2017 was a bit of a hectic year, but we made it through. And this past year was our second vintage here in the new winery. They're making Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, and James has been one of the more fortunate winemakers to get all sorts of different good selections that he can play around with over there. And we also were able to kind of study what selections we preferred, in terms of Chardonnay, which kind of influenced the planting decisions that were made over here at this vineyard, bringing over different budwood type of Wente, and figuring out what sort of style we preferred from the type of grapes we could kind of figure out from the vineyard. We have about 7 or 8 different types of Chardonnay, about the same with Pinot Noir. So not just 10 different varieties, but several different kinds of Merlot, Cabernet, Chardonnay, Pinot to choose from within those. So definitely always experimenting. I have about 3 or 4 different types of Merlot fermenting in the cellar right now. Chardonnay as well, and it gives you tools to play around with, create different blends, and definitely a lot of fun to be able to experiment with your winemaking, and having your own facility to do it really makes a big difference in the style of the wine and getting it just how you want it to be. Yeah, right. It's a science, but we do it carefully. So, blending is one of the most important parts of winemaking. Putting together blends is something you can do to make sure that you're getting it right, that it comes out just the way you want it. So, you're pulling out different wines, putting them together, tasting them blind, and then coming out with what you really, what you really see as what you want in the wines. And you're able to do that. You're able to put that together and get it just the way you want it. It all starts in the vineyard. So if you get it right there, it's pretty easy to ride it all the way out. It was pretty good. It was, it's definitely an interesting childhood, different from all the other kids who didn't grow up on a farm. The chores you do, the work that comes with the summertime, it's definitely beautiful and fun and hard work. I didn't really get to play sports like the other kids, but I enjoyed it, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I would say that getting away from Napa for a little while was probably one of the most important things that I did.
Was that school?
Yeah, going away to school. San Luis Obispo is a pretty cool place to get away to. Spent some years down there, and I have to say, all the traveling I do, I'm always happy to be back. Growing up, I've pretty much done every job there is to do out in the vineyard, winemaking, seen it all, done it all, and now managing a winery and taking it from the soil all the way out to the finished product, and it takes you to a lot of interesting places. You really have to have a passion for it, and I can still go out there and jump on a tractor and help out and be there at harvest time. A lot of physical labor, a lot of challenging mental aspects, getting everything right, pulling the trigger on harvest dates, one of the most important things you can do. Kind of staying out there and staying in touch. Things move slowly, but it goes by really quickly when you're paying attention to all the details. But we love it. That's why we're here.